Hi guys and welcome back to a new video. In today's video, I will be talking about Dragonflight professions and more specifically, crafting professions. What I want to do in today's video is simply to share my honest opinion and feedback on all the new changes and on all these new professions, and also try to answer the question, will these changes be successful or not at the launch of Dragonflight? So keep in mind that these are only my personal views. I'm sure that many people will disagree with some of the points I'm going to make in today's video. And also it's very important that you make your own opinions. So please, when Dragonflight will launch, try these new systems, try these new professions and see for yourself whether you like it or not. And of course, keep in mind right now it's only the beta. So there will still have a lot of things that will change at the launch of Dragonflight. And also we will have to wait for the launch to really see whether these systems are successful or not. So to start, I think it's important to just provide you with a quick overview of what are going to be all the main changes with Dragonflight. So the first one is really going to be the addition to all these new crafting statistics. So we have a few things that you will have to take into consideration when crafting items. The first one is the recipe difficulty. You also have the skill. You then have the inspiration and the resourcefulness. Another important thing to keep in mind is that some of these items will have different type of qualities. So you have for some items 5 different level of qualities, and each time if you use a better quality, you will basically be able to craft items with a better eye level and with better bonuses. After that, similar to Shadowlands, we have some optional regions, but here with Dragonflight we have even more of these optional regions. So this is also something like that you will have to keep in mind when crafting all these items, because you will be able to craft some items that will be more powerful than others just based on the optional regions you will be using. Another new system that is going to be very important is the knowledge system. Basically, for each profession, you will need to upgrade your knowledge in order to craft better items and to have better quality for these different items. You gain these different knowledge by crafting some items for the first time, and also, as you can see, by completing some quests in Valdraken. So this is definitely something that is going to be extremely important, and you will need to learn a lot about this system in order to become performant and simply become a master crafter. Another important system is going to be all the new profession tools and accessories. So basically, you will be able to equip one profession tool and 2 accessories per profession. And as you can see, it will basically increase your skills or some of these specific characteristics. And this is again something that will be extremely important and that you will need to keep in mind when crafting all these new items. And here, as you can see, the quality of these different items can also change. So you can have some quality 5, like you can have some quality 1. Another very interesting aspect of the new system in Dragonflight is the return of the specializations and sub-specializations. So here, when you choose all these different things, you will be able to then unlock different type of statistics and different type of bonuses that will simply make it easier for you to then craft specific items. So I think this is definitely something interesting, and this is something that was already part of the game before Cataclysm. And finally, the last very important new system implemented in Dragonflight is the crafting orders. So basically, if you are someone who wants to buy an item from the auction house, and maybe let's say this item is binds when picked up, you will be able to place an order, and then if you have someone crafting the order for you, you will then receive the item. If you want, you can place some public or personal orders. Personal will directly be assigned to one specific person, and public, anyone can pick them up. If you are someone who is crafting items, basically you can go in this little tab here, and then you can just pick up one of these orders, start the order, finish it, and then you will get the commission that the person added to the order. So this is really something that is supposed to kind of act as a middleman and help people to simply find a crafter and find a buyer. And basically it's supposed to reduce all the different requests you see in trade chats. Even if I think, as there is also the possibility to have personal orders, there is still going to have a lot of people just advertising their professions through the trade chat. So now that we've seen what are all these new changes, I think it's important to dive into what do I think about all these new changes. So the first thing I want to talk about is really the issue linked to the complexity of all these new systems. If you take all these new systems and you don't even consider the crafting order, so really just the ones for the normal items you can then post on the auction house, it's already very difficult to really understand everything. So you first will have to really understand, what are all these new characteristics that you need to upgrade, how you need to upgrade them, how you need to upgrade the new quality system and how it works. You also need to always pay attention to these optional regions. And of course, you also have all the different specializations. So people will have to think a lot before crafting an item. And I think it's simply going to be a barrier to a lot of people, like just an entry barrier for new people who wants to start these professions, but who don't really have the time to watch 10 guides to understand exactly what they need to do. And also, I think, unfortunately, for people who are not able to fully understand how it works, they won't be able to craft some of these items as efficiently as other crafters, and so it won't be as profitable, and they might just end up giving up. Of course, it's going to be good for a lot of people who have the time to just learn all these new systems and to actually just go and try different things to see what is the best strategy and what works best. But again, I think unfortunately for a lot of people, it's going to be too complex, and a lot of people are just going to give up on even trying these different professions. Another issue I see with all these new changes is the fact that these changes are very time consuming. Whether it is simply by trying to understand what are all these new changes and what you need to do in order to upgrade your profession, or simply spending some time actually upgrading your profession, I think for a lot of people it's going to be a huge barrier. So as I've explained, for instance, in order to upgrade your profession and unlock all the different recipes, you will need to have some of these knowledge points. So you will need to do a lot of activities around the profession. You will also need to unlock quite a lot of reputations in order to get some of the best recipes and to just become a master crafter. And of course, it will also take quite a lot of time, simply because you need to really each time wait in order to gain some of these new points and some of the new reputations. So before you become a master crafter, it will take a lot of time. So for me, I really think, unfortunately, this is going to be something that a lot of people are going to find quite annoying. And so overall, I think it's another barrier for a lot of people to try and just enjoy these new professions. Again, I know that for many people, it's also something that they will enjoy because it will allow them to become a master crafter. And if it's more difficult to become a master crafter, then you are really the one who can provide the best items and make the most gold. But again, when I'm thinking about the entire player base, I really think this is something that is going to be a huge issue, and unfortunately not something that a lot of people are going to like. So now let's talk about the crafting order system. This is really one of the things that Blizzard advertised the most, and normally this is something that will be key for both the people crafting items and people buying items or who are interested in getting some of these really good armor pieces from the different professions. In my opinion, I think really this system is way too complex, way too time consuming, and I don't really think it's going to work, but I would want to explain why. So let's start with what are going to be, in my opinion, the main issues on the side of the people who actually place orders and wants to get items from these different crafting orders system. So basically, there are a few things that I think are going to be really annoying for some of the players. The first thing is when you place an order, you have to wait for someone to actually pick up your order and then craft the item for you. The only issue is that if, unfortunately, for instance, you place an order with 5,000 commission and then someone places a same order for 5,500, then no one is going to pick up your request and you won't get your item. So instead of just going to the auction house, seeing that there is the item you want and buying it, here you will have to place the order, and you're going to see it takes some time to understand how you can place the order. And then you have to wait quite a lot of time for a crafter to actually pick up the order and then craft the item for you. And many times, unfortunately, probably it won't work and you'll have to do it again and again. Also, as I mentioned, it might take quite a lot of time for the people to understand what they need to provide and how it works in order for them to get the exact item they want. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there are like a few things you need to keep in mind when crafting the different items in Dragonflight. You have, of course, all the different optional regions that are going to be very important, but you also have the quality of the item that will increase or not the overall eye level of the item. So if you don't pay attention to these things, unfortunately, you might end up with an item that has a like a low eye level and that doesn't have the really good optional regions that you might want to use. So you will have to make it clear here in the crafter's notes. So the person who will craft your item will understand what you want exactly, but the crafter doesn't have to actually craft the highest eye level item or things like that. At least for now, this is not something that is allowed. You cannot force the person to do that. So in many cases, you might actually end up receiving an item that is not as good as you thought, and unfortunately, it is not as good as what other people might get. Also, you need to provide some of these materials, and this is mandatory. If you don't have these materials, you cannot place the order. So it will force people to actually have and look at how they can get these items and then get these items. And then they can place the order. So it's already half of the work of the crafter that is being made right now by the person who just wants to buy or like the item. So I think this is really not like clever from Blizzard to like kind of force that on the players. Also, and this is something I just mentioned before, but if you decide to provide some of these materials yourself, you will need to be very careful and actually provide the ones with the highest quality if you want to get the highest quality item. But I'm sure a lot of people won't really know that or won't pay attention or maybe just forget. And they will like provide the like really bad quality ones and they will end up with an item with a low eye level. So I think really for the experience, it's not good for like the people who just wants to get some items. When again, before that, you were just able to go on the auction house and buy your item and it was done. Finally, I think what I'm really scared of for people who wants to buy items like that is gonna be on all the different low pop rounds. Because if you don't have the crafter who actually can craft all these different items, and it will most likely happen because again, this is very difficult to become like crafter master and it's very time consuming. So most likely on low pop realms, you won't have people crafting all these different items. Unfortunately, you will be stuck and you won't be able to get these different items. What was the solution in Shadowlands was simply having people from over bigger realms simply crafting a lot of items, transferring the character to like one of these low pop realms and selling these items there on this auction house. Of course, there are also some downsides of doing that, but at the end of the day, it was allowing players even on low pop realms to actually benefit from all these different items. When here, unfortunately, I really feel like on many low pop realms, it's just gonna be impossible for people to find a crafter, and then people are just gonna give up. And then the few people who are interested in crafting might also be discouraged and might also give up. So I really don't think this is gonna work. And unfortunately, when you will become a master crafter, it will only be for one realm. Now, of course, when it comes to the different crafters, I also think this system is not so good because, first of all, you will only be able to do some public ones, like there is a limit per day. Also, you will have to accept sometimes the commission of the different customers, so it might make it very difficult. There is not, like, for instance, a simple way to just whisper the person and say, hey, I'm willing to do it if you just increase a little bit the commission. No, you will have to either try and find a person, whisper the person outside of the system, or simply to just not accept the order and then wait for someone else to place a better order. Also, of course, and this is something that also happened in Shadowlands, unfortunately, if you are not doing everything early in the expansion, all the different items you have to craft for the profession to be upgraded to the maximum will probably be worth nothing on the auction house, and probably you will have to actually lose quite a lot of gold just upgrading the profession. But this is something that also happened with the legendaries, so I'm not going to put the blame only on this system. But in my opinion, really, I think it would have been so much better for people to just be able to craft some items, post them on the auction house, and then wait for them to sell, rather than having also to go always try to find some orders. Also, probably like these people who are going to craft all these items will have to go in trade chat and ask people to directly send them some personal orders with like a specific commission, and it's going to take a lot of time. So I think for both sides, it's not going to be a good experience, and I really think for both sides, it's going to be something that is not going to work. So overall, and I'm really like speaking as someone who enjoys a lot crafting professions and who made like hundreds of millions of gold during Shadowlands by crafting all these different items. I feel like there are very like interesting changes that will happen with Dragonflight, and I'm looking forward to some of them. For instance, some of these specializations I think are going to be very interesting. But next to that, I think there like this overall system is too complex. It's going to create too many barriers for a lot of players, and I simply think it's not going to work as well as Blizzard think it will. So again, we will have to wait and see exactly what will be the results. But I personally don't think it's going to be very successful. And personally, I'm not looking forward really to have to learn all these new things, to really have to just spend so much time trying to become a master crafter. I think it's just too much. And it just feels like it's just work. So I'm really like not looking forward too much to all these new changes. But again, I'll have to go through them and I'll have to try. Also, before I end this video, I just want to recommend you two channels on YouTube that are really good when it comes to providing some guides on all these new changes, and also just providing some like more thoughts on all these professions and how exactly it's going to work. Personally, I've watched a lot of their guides and it really helped me a lot because I was completely lost, and right now I have a better understanding of what exactly will be these changes and what I need to know in order to start crafting and gathering. So these two channels are Penguin and Mentius. Both of them, I think, are really, really worth your time. And so if you are interested in really the topics of Dragonflight professions, I would encourage you having a look at these different videos. So that's going to be pretty much it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed. Please let me know in the comments what you think. I would really love to know what are your like first thoughts on these different systems. If you have played the beta and you've tried these different systems, what exactly do you think? Do you think it's going to be something that people will like? Do you think there's going to have like major issues and unfortunately it's not going to be successful? Just let me know. I will be back very soon with more guides and more videos. And in the meantime, I wish you all a great week. Bye.